All right, I'm gonna do something a little different today. We're always finding either new or little talked about or heavily obscure bottles of alcohol, and we're always tasting them, and then we're always making a drink out of them. But what we've never done is compared two bottles of alcohol. So that's what we're gonna do today. These are both bottles we've messed with on the show before. I think we even
We reviewed Mount Rigi.
yeah, we reviewed Mount
a
Rigi.
while ago, like in the beginning.
I if I remember correctly, the people at Mount Rigi even called us after the fact, all the way from Switzerland. It was awesome. We didn't film that though, but it happened. I promise. But both very good, as you can tell. Both bottles that get use, but we want to compare them. So
Yes, both of them are cherry liqueurs, as it were. We just want to see, how different they could possibly be. This isn't a ranking to see which one is better, because in specific instances, I don't think that really matters when it comes to like if there are two brands that do the same flavor or whatever. Because most of the time the flavors on each are going to be different and they're going to be used for specific things.
right.
Fernet is a prime example. Like Fernet Branca, the brand has Fernet, but there are other brands that do Fernet and they taste vastly different from Fernet Branca.
Right.
We just want to see what the difference is between these two bottles specifically. Just a little experiment, a little post-Thanksgiving experiment video that we want to do before we get back in the groove of things, as it were, when it comes to video making. We got some projects coming up, so like we want to ease back into the video making and whatnot.
Right.
So let's get to it. I got these two right here. We're gonna test. We got Mount Rigi in one. Luxardo in the other. They even have different tastes. I'm sorry, different smells.
Yeah,
Check,
I don't know how you know that.
check that out.
Yeah. Mount Rigi has more of a light, airy smell.
Brighter.
To it. It's brighter.
I don't know if you can associate that description to a smell, but that's how I describe it.
And Luxardo is more alcoholic, so to speak.
Deeper.
Yeah, it's deeper. Like you can smell the alcohol in the Luxardo.
Okay, so let's start with Luxardo. Smell reflects taste reflects the smell. More, you get more of an alcoholic taste, but it's not too much. It's more sweet than anything. Like it's
syrupy. It's not a bad thing, but it's syrupy.
And now Mount Rigi.
Yeah, this is more light, airy. It's nowhere.
A slight tartness.
It's got it's not as thick as Luxardo.
Right.
Yeah. Now when we did Mount Rigi, I remember from the last time. I'm gonna read Mount Rigi again. Original Swiss aperitif with Kirsch. Mount Rigi is a masterfully crafted liqueur capturing the essence of the Alps. Ripened Swiss cherries are distilled to 156 proof. In Switzerland, this spirit is called Kirsch. Our master distiller then macerates a special mix of alpine herbs and flowers with Kirsch. The final strength is then brought down to 40 proof before bottling. The reason I read this is there was something I wanted to key in on. A special mix of alpine herbs and flowers. You can definitely taste that.
Yeah.
You can definitely taste that. If I didn't know any better, I would think there might be some citrus in here.
Right. Which is probably where the tartness is coming from.
One of those herbs and flowers probably has a tartness to it that's similar to like a lemon or a lime. But it's very good. Luxardo, on the other hand, is made according to the original recipe in the possession of the Luxardo family since 1821. Delicious on fruit salads, strawberries, raspberries, kiwi, and pineapple. That's interesting. So Luxardo, they promote themselves as not just being for alcoholic beverages, but for using in food. That's very interesting. Does not like list ingredients or anything, but there's a lot of Italian written on here that I can't read and understand because it's small and I can't understand Italian. But yeah, they've been doing this since 1821, so clearly they also know what they're doing.
Right.
But it's interesting because it goes back to what you said at the very start. There's not a right or wrong answer. Both are unique for different purposes, and this is a prime example of that. Not to say that you can't use
I think the only wrong answer is poison. but none of these are poison. As a matter of fact, both of these are great. I want to try another experiment with this, which is to make a similar drink with both of these as the ingredient. So I looked up some cocktails in which you would use the maraschino liqueur. Came up with a lot, but the problem I was running into was that we didn't have specific ingredients. So like prime example, the Hemingway daiquiri is a prominent example. We had everything but the grapefruit juice.
Right.
And then I was thinking, okay, well, what about the Martinez? We had everything but the bitters. And then I found out we didn't even have the sweet remove. So we just could not have done that at all. So I did a deeper dive and I landed on a cocktail that I think will work, which is essentially just a Hemingway daiquiri without the grapefruit juice. It's called the King's Jubilee.
Okay. I like Jubilee.
I mean, I don't see how that's relevant to this drink.
I watched X-Men. I like that character.
Okay, well, I think that character's great too.
So while you're making that, here's a question I have for you. Do you think question for you. When you looked up these recipes, did they specifically say maraschino liqueur or did they say cherry?
Maraschino.
Okay. So the original question I was going to ask, I can ask now. Because they specifically asked for maraschino in a lot of those recipes, do you think using Mount Rigi specifically changes
the fact changes the cocktail. Well, that's what we're about to find out.
Okay.
At least specifically for this cocktail, because in some instances it may not. So this King's Jubilee calls for 1 1/3 ounce rum. We're doing 1 1/2, 1.5 ounce. We're not cherry picking or pun. Not cherry picking here on measurements and stuff like that. And they also call for 1/2 ounce of the maraschino. So, okay, this will be Mount Rigi. Big one is Mount Rigi.
Okay.
The mountain. Small one is Luxardo. In some type of order.
A few moments later.
So interesting to note off the bat, both of them have the exact same color. So preferred garnish is a maraschino cherry, but we don't have any. So
So let's try it out. This is
Luxardo.
Luxardo. Sweet but firm. Very good.
what kind of flavors are you getting out of there? Are you getting any?
I'm getting the citrus. The Luxardo is definitely coming through. Like I said, sweet but firm.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like the white rum is there. It's strong. Luxardo comes in and kind of punches it up.
Luxardo has a flavor that I don't know how to say. You can't necessarily ignore, so to speak. Like it's a distinguished flavor. Like you're always gonna know Luxardo.
Okay, Mount Rigi.
Mount Rigi. This is gonna seem interesting. Not as sweet. I don't know. As a matter of fact, not only is it not as sweet, the rum is coming through more. It tastes more alcoholic. The citrus is standing out. It's good, but you wouldn't know if unless you can, because you also get the distinct taste of Mount Rigi. It's there. But you would not know this is a cherry drink unless you drank enough Mount Rigi to know what Mount Rigi tastes like.
Okay.
But it's also really good.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That's interesting.
And that goes back to the question I had before you started. Can we even call these the same cocktail? If you went into a bar and I don't mean like a dive bar. If you went into like a either a speakeasy-ish bar or a really good mixologist bar scenario,
laundry room, Vegas, Las Vegas laundry room, it's a vintage speakeasy.
Well, in that case, I can answer that question for you. One, they would use this, but
they definitely would.
But
I don't think they would use the rum that we use though. They would use a white rum, but I don't know if they would use. We are going with Puerto Rico's best, Don Q.
Standout, very standout. Always good to and you know, we've never used Don Q on the show before, but it served its purpose. We bought it a while back and
for a party. I did I forgot what drink I made. I make a lot.
You were making pina colada.
Yeah.
But yeah, Don Q, always a standout. Love it. But yeah, so my question remains: would that bartender? I'm gonna leave something like the laundry room out of it. Shout out the laundry room, always a great time in Vegas. But if you went into a mixologist level bar, or even a bar that's just really on their shit, would they even call this a King's Jubilee made with Mount Rigi?
Probably not, but I'll tell you this. I think a mixologist would add or adjust measurements with that particular drink if they were using Mount Rigi, and probably add like one or two things in there to call it its own, and that wouldn't be a problem, but it wouldn't be a King's Jubilee. I think this in and of itself is a King's Jubilee, even though I just heard of that drink like 5 minutes before we started. But the King's Jubilee causes for those three ingredients. Mount Rigi, while it is a cherry flavored spirit, is not Luxardo. It just isn't. And that's a great thing actually, because I think the flavors that we got from this right here are very surprising. On top of that, I think twisting it and adding a little something, or maybe even, you know what? Maybe even changing the citrus, you know, could do something unique and different with this.
But I personally liked the Mount Rigi just because it didn't give me, this is gonna sound weird, but because it didn't give me an overt cherry flavor, that's what made me like it. Like, you can, like I said, if you know what Mount Rigi tastes like, then when you taste that drink, you know that Mount Rigi is in it.
But it doesn't taste anything near.
Exactly. So ergo, you know that there's a subtle hint of cherry. But would you change the name of this using Mount Rigi? Going by everything else we did, would you change the name of this using Mount Rigi?
Yes, but I would also add or subtract a couple more things to it.
But what about as it is?
Me personally, no. As it is, no. Adding a twist or two, yes.
So what would you call this as it is if you wouldn't change it? It would just be a King's Jubilee?
A Mount Rigi King's Jubilee. I mean, I know that's uninteresting, but
it just
I mean,
because by that standard,
or Snow King.
Snow King. Interesting. I kind of like that. Okay.
But of course, like I said, if I'm going that far with such a unique name, I would probably be changing a thing or two with that. So,
but here's a better thing. If there's any bartenders, any mixologists out there, what do y'all say? Would this be considered a King's Jubilee because it tastes so different to this? I would say no, because Luxardo specifically, maraschino is a specific type of cherry. This is not maraschino. It's not made in maraschino style. It's a cherry liqueur. This is maraschino cherry liqueur.
Well, actually, Swiss cherries.
Yeah, Swiss cherries, maraschino. But both were good. Both were banging. Every time we make a drink with Mount Rigi, it always comes out good. And Luxardo has been doing this thing since 1821, so can't be that bad. But that'll do it for this episode of Drink Tales. Be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell so that you're notified of all content coming to the channel. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on TikTok too. We're on Facebook as well. TikTok is doing pretty good. We went to Vegas. I got some TikToks of Vegas up. Go look at them. But that'll do it for this episode. And until next time, everybody, peace.